yeah, that's way better. Way better. Hopefully I didn't make anyone sick. Perfect. Oh, well. Nice. Cool. I don't care. All right. Oh, hey, Tom. What's up? What's up? I need a freaking haircut. Oh, goodness. Okay. If you're watching this in the future, you're going to be like, why isn't he doing anything? The stream started a little early. So if you're watching this post live stream, fast forward probably about 5 minutes from right now. Oh. It's not even 1:30 yet. Give them a break. Give them some time. Feels like I should be on a step now. Oh. Okay, so we got 1:30 on the dot. We'll give a couple more minutes for people to show up and show out. And then, yeah. So it'll probably be about 15 to 20 minutes of a presentation on breathing, one of many. So I'm not going to solve breathing as a whole concept today. So we're just going to kind of be a brief introduction, talking about a couple of things we can do, some takeaways and things that we can do right now. Then we'll give the big reveal, which actually will not take that much time, but will be exciting. What? No dissertation on the difference between mindfulness and meditation? Mindfulness is meditation. So, meditation is simply the practice of being mindful and observing. It's so funny how many times I mention to people, like, talking about meditation, and they're like, yeah, I think I was talking to my uncle about it the other day. He's like, yeah, I never was really good at like shutting my mind off. I was like, that's not the point. You're not supposed to shut your mind off. It's so funny how many people still think that that's what meditation is. Yes, you just learned something. Jaw is tired. I've been talking a lot today. Hey, Timmy. All right, so I'm just going to give it 2 more minutes, and then I'll get started. There we go. All right, we'll go ahead and get started since I see now 4 people are watching, so we'll call that bueno. All right, guys, so today we're going to be talking about breathing. Hey! So like I said, I definitely want to make this the first of many videos on breathing, some of which will actually go through breathing exercises. Today we won't. I'll just briefly introduce you to some that you can kind of keep in your back pocket as ways for you to increase your breath holds or increase your ability basically in terms of slowing down your breath, slow in and slow out and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get to that. But basically the whole crux of this presentation and talk today is going to be talking about breathing for performance. So both breathing inside the workout itself, but also what you can do outside of the workout to kind of train your breathing. Okay, first and foremost, exercise in general, you're already training your breathing. But I think kind of like when people go running down the street and just think that they're great at running all of a sudden, I think a lot of us just think, oh, breathing will kind of take care of itself. But then, in fact, there's a ton you can do. There's to improve upon what you already have going on. Even if you've been exercising on a regular basis for 10, 15, 20, 30 years, there's definitely some opportunity to increase your cardiovascular capacity through some breath work. And it doesn't have to take a long time. It doesn't have to take up your whole day. And in fact, just 5 minutes a day can kind of help you out. So what I want you guys to take away from this today, I wrote it on a little board. Not that you can read it. So I even have a whole board behind me here, or behind you guys actually. I'm not going to try to show it to you because even though it's well written, it's not going to shine through. So what I want you guys to take away from this is going to be threefold. Number one, your breathing in general is a really big limiter, a limiting factor for your performance. Okay, that might sound obvious, but it's not just when you're like feeling out of breath. Like even before that, and really even before the workout starts, your breathing, can already be affecting how you were breathing throughout the night during your sleep. If you're really stressed, your breathing changes. So like all these things going into a workout, I'm sure you guys have experienced that before, where you've gone into a workout and you thought you were going to do really great at it, and maybe just your performance wasn't so great, or maybe it was a retest and you're like, man, I should have done better. Stress can have a lot to do with it. So your breathing already before the workout starts has a lot to do with that. So your breath is a limiting factor. The number two, you can actually train your breath. Okay, again, a lot of people just think that it's an automatic, automatic, I always mess up that word, autonomic system, so that, it takes care of itself. But kind of like I was just chatting with Todd about, mindfulness, meditation is actually the practice of controlling your breath. And by doing that, you actually are being aware of breathing. So breathing is actually the one thing in this world that you can control that will actually start to change your heart rate, your brain function, like all of these things, the amount of oxygen that's in your blood, all these things can actually be manipulated for your benefit to, reduce stress, anti-anxiety, anti-hypertension, and then also increasing performance, both in just general life, just breathing better, and then also in your workouts, okay? And then number three is just, it only takes 5 minutes a day. So your breath is limiting you right now. You can train it, and it only takes 5 minutes a day. Okay, so those are the three big things. If I haven't gone over those three things at the end of the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes, please give me a comment in the side there. Okay, so first and foremost, this is gonna seem kind of silly, but what do I mean by breathe? A lot of times when I say, hey, give me a deep breath, people will, just like kind of upward breath, a big gaping mouth, a big, kind of inhalation, almost like a panic breath. And so that's not what it's meant when we're talking about breath work, and it's definitely not what it's meant when we say deep breathing, okay? So in through the nose and out through the nose. So this will not be covered in this video, but I definitely want to cover it in later videos, which is all the science behind using your nasal passages to absorb oxygen and to ingest air, basically, is way more effective and beneficial than breathing through your mouth. So the whole term mouth breather is kind of, has a negative connotation to it, but that is a real thing. People who are dysfunctional in breathing, the number one sign is that they breathe with their mouth open. So, and then that is doing a whole host of things. They usually have bad posture. They usually don't breathe into their diaphragm. They're usually, doing these like shallow breaths. They usually have anxiety and issues like that are actually arising and being made worse by the fact that they're not breathing properly. So in through the nose, out through the nose is the first and foremost, okay? So that's the nice thing about this, is that you can practice this right now just by closing your mouth and gently inhaling through your nose and gently exhaling through your nose. The other big thing that a lot of people miss on when we talk about breathing is belly out. So in this kind of world where we're all taught to, be up straight, which you should, and kind of suck in, which you shouldn't, and the whole six-pack abs, and everyone's got to have really nice tight abs, we've kind of lost the art of letting our belly go. So one of the biggest practices in this, if you're ever sitting down doing breath work or laying down, is to let your belly rise first and then your chest ventilates second. Again, it's not an upward, it's an outward breath. So that's another thing too, that's a really, again, for another video, really interesting how a lot of people have some sort of trauma in their early childhood or even teens and early 20s, a car accident, a fight, falling, some sort of trauma that actually turns them into a shallow breather. And you kind of live with that trauma. And then all of a sudden, imagine this, if you have a cat or a dog at home, imagine looking at your cat or dog and they're breathing upward, into this tensive kind of thing. Well, that's what a lot of people do when they're out of breath. They just kind of get in this really tensive state. Watch your belly of your pet at home when they're breathing. They always breathe in and out with a big stomach. Okay, and then the slow and controlled would be the last thing. So deep breathing. So like when I first started doing breath work, I would take these, if I was doing a 5-second inhale, kind of taking this really deep, so I'd run out of air in 3 seconds. So it would kind of make it more of a negative process. So whether you're doing a 5-second inhale or a 15-second inhale, you're probably going to get around the same amount of air. It's really more about slowing that down. And just by slowing that process down, again, you're changing everything internally about how your heart rate, how you're absorbing that is changing. And so when we talk about breathing in, we'll just get right into it. So being out of breath, so we were talking about like inside of a workout, being out of breath, it actually starts already with dysfunctional breathing. So what led you to that point of being out of breath? partially is from ineffective or dysfunctional breathing early on, which is basically you have a low threshold for CO2. So a lot of times when people think, they're out of breath, I need more oxygen, it's actually the opposite. You actually just have too much carbon dioxide buildup. So that's what your body basically is giving you a warning sign right then and there that if this keeps going, you will actually pass out or potentially even die. So it's a very, you get that panic. Sometimes if you guys have ever done some breath hold work, you get some kind of convulsions basically that are trying to tell you to breathe. Those actually aren't as panic-inducing. I mean, they're very panic-inducing, but they're actually not as bad as they feel. You can push through that. In fact, when people do all these kind of breathing things to do free dives and stuff like that, they oftentimes have to push through that. So again, it's a CO2 buildup, not necessarily a lack of oxygen, but of course, when both are going, you're in the middle of an AMRAP, a 20-minute AMRAP, it's 10 minutes in and you're already out of gas. Your brain is going to start, so your brain is main function is to make your body move. If it starts to be alerted by the CO2 buildup, you will start to move less. So that hence a rest is inevitable, right? So we're really good at pushing through, especially people who have been exercising in these kind of capacities for a long time. However, at a certain point, you will have a rest that being like, dude, I just cannot go on without resting. Well, part of performance is the end result, yes, the time, the amount of reps, all that kind of stuff, but it starts in those little rest intervals. So it starts when you needed to take that first rest. So, did you need to take it at 3 minutes in or 4 minutes in or 5 minutes in or 6 minutes in? That is all based on, well, one, muscular endurance. So lactic acid obviously has a big part to do with that and actually being able to move your muscles. But a lot of that mental actually comes from, and that being out of breath comes from the CO2 buildup and the dysfunctional breath that kind of already led into that. And a lot of that is just from the first moment you're doing kettlebell swings. Kettlebell swings is actually a great example because that's the one where we coach a lot of, breath in, sharp but medium breath out. So you're already taught in that movement really, breathing specifics. We don't necessarily do that with a lot of other things. So especially with something like burpees where your chest is limited on the ground, that is already going to change your breathing. Going from, standing, flexion to extension kind of things, up downs, wall walks, hand walks, any of those things that go from, inverted GHGs, all that's going to really change your breathing. So right then and there, you've got an external force that is now trying to change your breathing. So if you can monitor your own breathing, I'm not saying you're not ever gonna have to take a rest, but one, the rest is gonna come later. And then two, even during that rest, you're gonna be way more effective of actually getting your breath back, quote unquote, versus, okay, that's not effective. That's panic breathing. Okay, so number 3, and we're actually almost there, guys. So actually, I only got a couple more points on this thing. So we are actually keeping on time. Training your breath in and out of the gym is the biggest, one of the biggest keys I can't say. And it starts by breathing in and out through your nose. Okay. And, whether you're sitting in the car, doing some actual dedicated breath work time, which that'll be the last thing I talk about today. Or, nose breathing. I know Ken's mentioned it before, talking about nose breathing during, let's say we're doing a 2-minute on, 2-minute off interval workout. As soon as that 2 minutes of off time starts, that's when you need to start doing your breathing. Make it within 2 minutes, you might not have the time or capacity rather to even worry about the breathing, but you can definitely do that on your rest time. Okay. So finding time and areas to do this, it's all over the place. It's everywhere. It's before bed, it's after bed, it's, during dinner, it's during your workout. So all this goes back to it in and out through the nose. And you're constantly either training bad breathing or good breathing. So again, so kind of going back to the first thing I said in the video is, just right now, think about the next couple days. Am I breathing through my mouth? Why am I breathing through my mouth? Was I taking a long walk? Was I working in the yard? What caused me to start breathing through my mouth? Do I snore at night? Do I have a dry mouth in the morning? Am I breathing through my nose or my mouth at night? Is my pillow the right height? I mean, all these things kind of go into it, but just being aware. So going back to the meditation piece, just start by being aware and notice when you're breathing through your mouth and why, okay? And then kind of trying to retrain that if it's bad. You guys might be great at it so far. Then on top of that comes the breath work. So the last thing to talk about today is breathing and heart rate. Obviously the heart and lungs, so when we talk about COVID, this is a really relevant thing because with COVID, they've actually shown some evidence that breath work can actually minimize the symptoms, can actually help people feel like they've gotten back in control of their breath, even with COVID-19. So breathing and heart rate are really, really linked. So again, going back to even chronic conditions like hypertension and things like that, can be affected positively by doing some just breath work, and it only takes 5 minutes a day. Okay, that's how I started. I started with 5 minutes. Sometimes now I do it upwards of 30 minutes spread throughout the day. So I usually do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the afternoon, 10 minutes in the evening. Whatever works for your daily schedule, but 5 minutes can really, really make a big difference. So even if you're just feeling stressed or maybe you have high blood pressure, this could be really, really relevant for you. So the 3 breathing exercises I want to leave you guys with today are going to be one for recovery and anti-anxiety or anti-hypertension. One is going to be just a great recovery, what they call cardiac coherence, which is this is another thing. So HRV, we'll definitely be going over that much more in depth. You might have heard of HRV. You might have it on your Whoop strap or your breathing app or your performance app. HRV, heart rate variability, is a phenomenal marker, way more relevant for people's actual health than a lot of markers that are kind of tracked by your doctor. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I definitely think that heart rate variability is a way more apt measurement for basically your heart's function. And so again, we'll get into that in later videos, but this is all connected. Okay, so heart rate, stress. I keep reiterating that because it's all linked together. So I don't want you to be like, well, I don't care about breathing in my performance. This affects you in every single way. It affects the way that you react to somebody honking their horn at you. That starts with like how you're breathing and whether or not, I always tell people, if you're doing breath work in your car, which I never do anything too deep because you don't want to fall asleep at the wheel or like go into a trance, but sometimes I'll do a gentle breathing mantra in the car, and it's impossible to get mad when you're doing breathing, even if somebody cuts you off. It just really puts you in this place it's very hard to react. So again, this affects everyone. Okay, so the 3 things we're going to talk about, and you can write this down if you want to. 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out is by far my favorite anti-anxiety, just recovery breathing. What do I mean by recovery? Could be right after a workout, could be on a Sunday afternoon when you're just, mowing the lawn. Go inside, take 5 minutes and do some 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. Basically, the way you want to train it is basically to lower and calm yourself down. A calming effect is going to come with an excessive longer breath out than the breath in. The breath in is actually something that engages your nervous system to basically be alert and kind of up. And then breathing out is actually the calming one. Okay, and so 4 in, 8 out, definitely my go-to, phenomenal. And again, it's all slow and controlled. 5 in, 5 out is my second favorite, which is that's the cardiac coherence one, which is basically you start to kind of train your breath to kind of mirror a heartbeat and kind of slow. So it kind of gets into this realm where you're taking a specific amount of breaths per minute, and you're very much on the point. So you'd actually be surprised how difficult it is to say, if you're listening to a count, breathe in for exactly 5, and then to breathe out for exactly 5. It's actually really, really tough. So that's when you can kind of tell, you're like, okay, I'm not really there. And so that coherent part is when by the end of 5, 10 minutes, you can actually get to that rhythm, and you'll notice a big difference in terms of your overall wellness and feeling. And then the last one is going to be box breathing work. Okay, so this is the one we've done after workouts on our Zoom calls before, which is a 5 in, 5 hold, 5 out, 5 hold. So box breathing is a phenomenal way. It's a method that's used in all sorts of practices, from Navy SEALs to elite athletes. People who have to deal with situations of anxiety and basically have to, utilize their breathing to make themselves better, which again, that's the whole point of this video. We can all do that. So engaging in some sort of breath hold is a great way to do it. This is a really safe, effective way to do that versus taking a big breath in. And again, I'm totally guilty of this. When I first started doing breath work, I definitely was doing like these big breaths in, hold, and then, medium breath out. and just too much breathing. So I was actually making it worse. So again, 5 slow in, 5 hold, 5 out, and 5 hold. I honestly quite, to be honest, I just use the YouTube videos. I just look up, breathwork videos, HRV videos. So you can get them for free. You can always download an app as well. There's tons of apps now that do all these kind of breathing things. It really just depends on what works for you. You might even gravitate towards like an actual like guided meditation where they're just working on breath work. So for me, that doesn't really work. I don't necessarily like someone talking to me while I'm doing it. I like clicks. I like ohms and so's and stuff like that. So the things that we worked on together as a group. So yeah, that really kind of concludes that, guys. So I hope you got out of this that, starting right now, you can take 5 minutes a day to work on your breath work. Again, this is really more the introductory video. I definitely am going to go over, HRV, what it is, and how it is a marker for overall heart health, and how it affects your everyday life. How the heart and the lungs work together. Talking about meditation, what really meditation is. We'll actually do some videos where I'll do some breath work with that and all that kind of good stuff. So without further ado, we'll get to the big exciting reveal. And this will conclude our video for today. So yeah, I'm on time. Okay, so this last month we were doing at the quad, we were doing the August walkathon, 500 miles was the goal, and we're just doing phenomenal. So we got a couple days left, so keep up your walking. But it really kind of sparked in me, especially still with these COVID times, we're getting back into the gym here and there, and we will continue to do so. But, it just feels like in general, we still want something to keep us engaged, keep you guys engaged, and really to continue to bring people together. It has been a phenomenal experience seeing how many people from across the country have been able to interact with each other on the Facebook group, doing the walking, getting people out there, using their bodies, doing some breathing, and also for a great cause. So this next month, as you might have guessed, we are going to be hosting a quad games, which is basically going to be an online competition, a friendly competition that we will kind of structure in an open style, CrossFit open style way, which will basically be every Friday starting in September. The first Friday in September, we'll be revealing a workout every Friday. We will be doing that workout as a group, and anyone and everyone is invited to that Zoom call. So again, we want to keep expanding as many people as we can get to get on the calls and to be a part of this. We want to see it. So let's make Zoom crash, so we're going to do it as a group every Friday, and then you'll have the entire weekend throughout that to the following Monday at 5 p.m. to achieve the workout. You can retry it, all those kind of things. We're going to have standards. There will be movement standard videos that will be prepared ahead of time with text and intros and outros and all that kind of good stuff. So there'll be nice high quality videos. So this is really, and there will be a text-based version of this as well, so people can, once the workout's been released, so that'll kind of be the continuing excitement around it, is that you won't know what the workout is until we do it. Yeah, so it's gonna be the Quad Games 2020. And we're already in talks with Tammy's dad's gym, all the way on the East Coast and in New York to be able to do that. Talking to some other gyms, trying to get as many other people involved, whether it's one person or a whole gym, doesn't matter. We definitely want people, and it's going to be accessible for everyone. So we want to get as many people as we can. There will definitely be RX and scale versions, but we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. So this is not going to be something that is going to be, groundbreaking in the sense of I've never seen that move before. These are all going to be moves we've been doing. In fact, throughout the month of August, you guys didn't know it, but we've basically been testing some of these workouts. So, and some of the movements and some of the parameters. So you might see some things that are kind of revisited type workouts, some kind of tweaked a little bit and some completely new. So yeah, so hopefully you guys, we can get as many people involved in this as possible. All they have to do is, we will have some sort of registration process, not going to cost anything. Obviously, we'll just want to track people and make sure that they're, we know that they're a part of it. Kind of like with the walk thing, we want to have people take pictures. We're not going to require videos or anything like that if you're not on a Zoom call, where it's going to be, again, this is a loose thing. It's a nice, easy competition. just friendly, something to keep us focused and something to kind of tell us where we're at in terms of our fitness. And but you know, we're gonna want pictures of people doing it and stuff like that. But it's just going to be on the honor system, okay? In terms of, you know, obviously I will present the standards and things like that, and making sure you guys are doing it correctly. But then after that, it's on you to make sure that you're holding each other accountable and all that kind of good stuff. And the last thing I'll say is that I will give you one of the workouts right now, just to make it super tantalizing and let it stew in your brain, is that there will be, so we're going to kind of do it like the Festivus games, if you've ever been to those, which is there's a floater WOD usually. So there will be a floater WOD in this that will be achievable or doable on your own through a certain time range. So it's not going to be, even though this whole competition is going to go throughout the entire month, this 5th workout will be done within a certain time frame. I'm not going to give you the time frame right now. Could be 2 weeks, could be a week, could be a weekend. Okay, I'm not going to tell you that right now, but I will tell you this. That floater WOD workout is going to be 6 hours of burpees. All right, so there you go. Sit on that one, have some fun with it. Thanks for joining me, guys. I will see you soon, and signing off.